Hubhopper Originals.
To start your podcast for free, log on to studio.hubhopper.com.
So I think that's great. If you can manage it, please do so, right? But at the same time, slow down,
Okay.
right? Slow down. Take time to smell the roses along the way, because before you know it, life will have passed you by. Your
Yeah.
children will have grown up, and you will probably not even have realized it, right? And that's when you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
My second advice would be to all the ladies out there: please be financially independent,
Mm.
because that is something I feel is critical. That is something that is going to allow you to be more independent.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to allow you to have the freedom that you need. That is going to allow you to take the decisions that you need to make in your daily life, right? Because most women don't even have that kind of independence or that freedom.
Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high-achieving 9-to-5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how-tos, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day.
Hi, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'm going to be speaking to someone who is a very special friend. A backstory: we met online. A common reference point is the image consulting program that we were both a part of, ICBI. But we really just connected on Instagram. And for all of those people who don't believe that you can build long-term relationships with people you meet and connect with online, I'm the biggest example. Our relationship is the biggest example of that. Having said that, we continue to connect in the virtual world, me and Tina, in two different locations. But I do feel like we share a great energy, and I always find Tina is one of those people who reaches out to support, to comment, to engage, to offer advice all the time online. So I'm really grateful to social media for introducing me to such wonderful people and helping me meet such wonderful people in the world today. And with that, I want to introduce Tina to you all. So Tina is an ICBI certified image coach and NABET trainer, helping several clients develop and enhance their professional and personal image. She started her career as a fashion model years ago, but slowly moved toward working as a designer and stylist, owing to her creative inclinations and love for all things fashion. She delivers customized packages according to individual needs on professional dressing, body language, etiquette, styling, makeup, color analysis, body shape analysis, and the art of clustering. Tina is the founder director of a fashion apparel retail store by the name Haute Girl, located in the heart of South Delhi. The brand has made quite a name in the local and online marketplace, as well as the fashion and luxury blogging sectors in a short span of time. The store, with its plan of expansion online, is currently under the creative direction of Tina, who intends to make it a one-of-a-kind fashion pit stop for women of all ages, sizes, and backgrounds. Keeping the focus on quality, comfort, and affordability, offering the best of boutique and casual chic, she's already hitting the nail on its head when it comes to building Haute Girl as a brand with a personality. Haute Girl, with hot spelled as Haute, not Hot. A sought after influencer, Tina is well followed for sharing her expertise in image management and knowledge of fashion, as well as on how to communicate effectively. She is hosting a popular women-based web chat show called Sipping Thoughts too, as and when time allows. Join me in this wonderful conversation with Tina Walia and hear her tips, not just for fashion, but also to communicate effectively in different situations. Hi, and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. Joining me today is my beautiful guest, Tina Walia, someone I met online. And it's sometimes you see people, they have this warmth about you. Tina, how she comes across online, she's exactly like that, even when you have a one-to-one connection. Tina, welcome to the podcast. You're someone that I deeply feel connected to. You're someone who's very warm. And I think the greatest thing that I've noticed about you is that you're so supportive. And it's not just to me. I've seen this with you and everyone else. So welcome to the podcast. It's my honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Savita. And I hope you realize it's a mutual admiration society we have going here. You know what I feel about you and how I feel about you. And we're all like a women support group here, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So
And
thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. I'm so excited about today because I know that when we did a live last year, my connection was so bad. And I always felt like I never got to speak to Tina properly. So today is my day. And I'm sorry if I'm going to be bombarding you with so many questions. So with that, we'll get started. And the first thing I want to know, Tina, is your journey has been very interesting. Um, and it's been with fashion, I think, all
Right.
along. So tell me, share with us your journey so far and how your fashion journey brought you into image consulting.
Sure. So my journey started long time ago as a model.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in this fashion industry per se for the last maybe more than 2 decades now. And I started as a model, and I, realized the finer nuances of styling along the way by watching a lot of industry experts. And eventually, once I got married and I settled down, had children, we opened our own retail stores for women's fashion and everything to do with women's fashion, for accessories, shoes, you name it. We had it all under one roof, and we still have it in Delhi. So, which is when, I started styling and I started designing. I had no, how do you say, no qualification per se, but
Mhm.
I learned everything the hard way and on the job.
Okay.
So that is how I got into that. I took a bit of a sabbatical when my children were smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But when they grew a little older, I realized that I needed something to keep me constructively occupied. And that is when a friend suggested that, when the children fly the nest is not the right time to do it. It was time to kind of look for options when they were still in the nest per se.
Okay.
So that is when I saw an ad for image consulting by ICBI, of course. We are all proud alumni.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, believe me, Samita, I had no clue as to what was image consulting, what was soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept looking at the ad for about a year or two. And then I finally kind of decided to go and find out what it was. And it was something that was right up my sleeve because it kind of involved everything that kept my creative juices flowing. Because like you said, it had to do with fashion, it had to do with aesthetics, it had to do with creativity, and above all, it had to do with helping people build up their self-esteem and to find their confidence as well.
Yeah.
So you're in a way you're giving back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is how I kind of started.
Yeah, even I have to agree with you that I had no idea what image consulting was. And kudos to ICBI for putting together a program like that. But while your journey has been very interesting and always in fashion, why do you think, and probably that's why maybe you understand the importance. Why do you think it's important to focus on crafting one's image and communication skills in today's world? Because it's very easy to do. You can read stuff online and you can actually build an image. But according to you and what you've seen, why do you think it's important?
So, Savita, what really is image? So our image actually would be just our perception or our how do you say, our so just our perception or our impression in the minds of others,
Yeah.
or something that people talk about us when we are not in the room or behind our backs. So in that sense, everybody has an image,
Yes.
don't they?
Yes.
right? And usually this image is formed by accident or by default, right? We
Yeah.
really don't work on it. We don't give it a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we can't escape. So we all have an image, and it's something that we can't escape. And if you were to think of it, our image really is our identity in the minds of others.
Yeah.
And if it's something that crucial, why don't we actually work towards building our image and be a little more intentional towards it? Because ultimately, our image is either going to work for us or against us.
Mm.
And I personally feel it's even more important in a country like ours, which has a huge population. And what will help you stand out against that, huge crowd is only your image,
Yeah.
right? So imagine if you are going for an interview where everybody pretty much has the same hard skills or technical skills, the knowledge, what
Yeah.
is going to help you stand out is only your image,
Yeah.
right? And you and I know that when we speak about image, it's really not just your physical appearance.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ABCDE of image,
Mm.
where A is your appearance, your B is your behavior, C is your communications, and that is where you speak about your communications. And when we don't communicate effectively, we will never be happy or successful in our personal or professional life.
Yeah.
D is your digital, footprint, and E, etiquette.
Yeah.
And that is really how you stand yourself, or you make sure that you stand apart from the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
So I think it is very, very important that instead of making sure that your image is accidental, it
Mm.
is intentional.
Yeah, I think you put that so well. In fact, digital is something that a lot of people don't realize. And today, as
Absolutely.
young people start out, like, thank God we didn't have Facebook when I was a teenager. I have no idea what my image would have been very different, I'm sure. But with that, I think it's a great segue into my next question because we want to talk about dressing for success. How do you define dressing for success? Because success is different for different people. And what's your definition for this term?
So basically, it's just a way of saying that clothes make the man, right?
Yeah.
So just a way of putting across the fact that what you wear in your daily life is actually important,
Mhm.
because a lot of people tend to feel otherwise.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that it's very shallow, that what you wear is really not important. It's what you are on the inside. But I guess in the modern sense, it is really a discourse on what do you say, the importance of sartorial presentation in business dress at your workplace, or certain do's and don'ts of how you should be dressed at your workplace,
Mhm.
right? So so according to me, like I said, a lot of people seem to feel that you should not judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
But there are there is an entire industry, right, of people who are designing products, who will vouch for the fact that nowadays products are selling wholly and solely by their looks,
Yeah. True.
right? So it is absolutely important. And even if you were to speak to career counselors, they are going to tell you that you should dress for the job that you want,
Mm.
and actually not for the job that you have.
True. True.
So that is my take on it.
Yeah, and I think you said it well. And I always think this term comes, don't judge a book by its cover. But the fact is, I read at the back of the book as well.
Yes.
Before
And
I,
you look at the cover, you look at the jacket, you look at,
yeah,
the entire thing. And that is when you decide whether you want to buy the book or not, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think just that tells you whether you want to move on or stay. And it's true for social media because you go onto somebody's page, it takes you a few seconds and you're like, you decide whether to follow them or not follow them, which also brings me to the great tips that you share on your page. And so when we talk about dressing for success, let's say I'm somebody who could do better in that department. Maybe I'm not aware. I feel maybe I'm one of those people who thinks hard work, I should just come, show up, do my job, and that's all that should matter. So now maybe I've just been told, hey, you know what? Everything else matters. The packaging as well matters. Where and how does one start doing this if they don't even know where, like, what to start with? What's your advice?
So again, I think nowadays it's become very industry specific, right? So there might be certain industries like the IT industry where rules are much more relaxed. And then there is maybe the fashion industry where I can get away with a little more creative form of dressing, wearing, brighter colors, louder colors. So it depends from industry to industry as well. Formal business suits per se or dressing is not something that is required everywhere these days.
Yeah.
More so post pandemic, things
Yes.
have relaxed so much more, right?
Yeah.
But having said that, this entire version of casual Friday or business casuals is also something that I don't completely understand, because I do understand the fact that when you are comfortably dressed, it does increase your productivity. But having said that, when you are dressed appropriately for a particular situation, you are giving respect not just to that situation, but also to the people present in it, right?
Yeah.
So what basically I'm trying to say is that your look has to also change or mold according to the situation or the people that you're going to be in or you're going to meet.
Yeah.
So I might be somebody who's very fond of brighter, louder colors, right? But if I know that I have to go and visit somebody who's more conservative, right? Or somebody who's had a little or has gone through a little depressing time in their lives, then I will dress more conservatively, right? So you have to dress appropriately according to that situation or that person in mind.
Yeah, true. And
So
I see, yeah, you have to tailor yourself to where you are.
yes,
So that's the starting point to understand where
right.
you are and who are the people you're with. And I do want to ask you, what are some of your favorite hacks? Because to present
But
yourself.
Savita, let me just say, but having said all of these things, there are a few things that I do want to mention.
Sure.
More than the clothes that we're talking about, certain things that I do want to mention is, please pay attention to your grooming and your hygiene,
Absolutely.
right? Pay attention to the fact that your clothes are well washed, not stained, and ironed well, because I see people in all walks of lives, in the from the corporate sector to maybe educational institutions, who have just probably rolled out of bed and walked in,
Especially
right?
now, work from home is like
Yes, and
full-time
yeah,
pajamas.
post pandemic has made us even more relaxed in our attitudes, right?
Mm.
So, so more than paying attention to whether you're wearing a business suit or not, I think these smaller details make more of an impact into you coming across as a more confident, capable kind of person.
Yeah.
So, and make sure that your shoes are well polished, um, things like those. And shoes should be closed shoes, please.
Yeah.
I see people, or especially ladies, in sandals. I see men in floaters. I see all kinds of rules being, twisted, broken. So, but those are rules I'm not going to share because you can Google them anytime, right?
True. True.
But yes, but please, uh, certain things need to be appropriate according to the occasion as well. So those are things that should not be broken at all.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the basics, and God is in the smaller details, according to me.
Yes, true. And also, I think what you touched upon there when you said it helps you look confident. As much as it is about where you're going and who you're with and respecting who you're going to be with, so you dress appropriately. It's also about you when you're looking your best. Like if I was showing up today and I had to like have my hair in a knot because I know Tina, she's my, I know everybody who's going to come on this call. It would be an absolute no. I need to show up like this so I can be confident when I'm doing this interview. It's as much about me as the other person. So I like what you touched about saying, it helps you show and present a confident self.
Right. Which is what they say, right? The
Yeah.
clothes will work on two levels. First, it'll directly affect your own psyche, how you look, behave, and act. And secondly, it will also uh, help other people respond to you in a certain way, whether they will respect you or they will not,
Yeah.
right? So it works at two different levels.
Yeah, true. And as we are talking about confidence, even when somebody is looking their best, they can struggle with confidence. What's your advice for people who struggle with this?
Okay. So I think we're all struggling or managing it in our daily lives. There
Mm.
is not a single person who can say that I am confident every single day, every single moment, right? So, to begin with, I would say every time you face negative thoughts or self limiting beliefs,
Mhm.
acknowledge them, yes, but also replace them with more positive thoughts. Um, Always think back to the time when you have achieved something big
Mm.
and remember your journey from where you started to where you are now, which will help you overcome those self limiting beliefs and negative thoughts,
Yeah.
right? So that is one.
Mm.
Second, I feel never compare yourself to somebody else,
Mm.
right? Because we never know what journey they have had. We don't know how many failures they've faced, how many mistakes they've made, right? Because comparing yourself is sure short way of unhappiness.
Yeah.
And especially with social media, where everything is airbrushed and photoshopped, it's so easy to kind of, just lose all joy in life.
Yeah.
So so that would be my second. My third would be to always try and upskill,
Mm.
because life is a constant learning curve, right?
Yeah.
So be it something as simple as Sudoku that you've learned, or something, some new recipe, anything. And especially with these online platforms like Skillshare and Udemy, which
Yeah.
offer free courses, this is something very simple to do. So don't think that, at a certain age and now this is my time to relax.
Mm.
Always try to upskill and be curious about things. So that is something that gives you instant confidence in yourself. And last, of course, is my favorite. Always work on your appearance management and image management. So your A, B, C, D, E's, and I think then you're set to go.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. Stay tuned as we take a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side of the show.
Yeah. I think some great tips. Thank you for sharing that. And from there, I want to take the conversation to something that you do really well. And I've seen you do this online, which is dealing with different kinds of people. One is you have to work on your inner self. And of course, on the way you present yourself. But the second is also about communicating and being able to manage your emotions in a way that helps you feel confident. So, managing and responding to toxic people and situations, everybody struggles with. I mean, I still struggle with it. I may have gotten better over the years, but the way I probably gotten better is to avoid them, to know what the red flags are. So you have some great tips around this. I'm going to give you 4 different situations, and I
Okay.
would love for you to share how you would respond to the following situations. Okay. So the first one is dealing with unkind body criticism. Oh my God, you're so fat. Or have you put on weight? Those kind of statements. Body looks, all of these things.
So, in my experience, people are never really that direct. They'll say something more indirect, like,
No,
you
relatives
really,
are, they're like, have you been
really?
exercising? Yeah,
Yeah, so they'll say something a little more indirect, like, have you not been exercising?
yeah,
So so um so depending on your relationship with that person, I guess most important thing is to acknowledge, right? and to and also to kind of understand whether the relationship is more important, or
okay,
or responding is more important at that point in time,
okay,
right? uh, and and if you feel that it's more important to take stock of the situation and kind of take your power back,
mm-hmm.
then I would probably say something like, you know, uh, it's not very kind to say what you have. Nobody chooses to be overweight,
Yeah.
right? And these are the kind of statements that lead to such kind of eating disorders in our society, something like that, which will make the other person, just kind of keep quiet.
And to say it gently, saying what you said is
Yes,
not really nice. Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, good one. Dealing with catty friends and relatives, you know that, sometimes, you're going to go there and there's this one person who's always like, you can't expect what they're going to say, but they're going to say something rude. So how do you prepare yourself to deal with these catty relatives and friends?
So I had this one recently. I've been a little busy off late, because
Okay.
of all these physical trainings that I've been doing.
Yeah.
And this was a kind of close friend, and I met her, and she came up with, so you finally got the time to meet up, right?
Mm.
So I was a little taken aback for a moment. So I just told her, yes, I understand. I've been kind of busy, and I'm sorry about that. But I expected you to understand, considering that you're a good friend. And I was actually expecting you to congratulate me, because post the pandemic, this is the first time I've got, this kind of opportunity.
Okay.
And so after my being taken aback, then she kind of was on the back foot,
Okay. Nicely
you
put.
know.
Yeah.
So you just need to be polite, keep your tone calm, right? And composed, and still be assertive at the same time.
You do recommend speaking up, not
Yes, yes,
holding it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Because if you keep holding it in, right, it is going to bother you at some point in time, and then eventually it'll erupt like a lava,
Yes.
and it'll spoil your relationship sometime in the future, which I do not recommend. I
Okay.
personally just recommend being polite and being calm and dealing it with at your level.
Okay, great. So the next situation is dealing with a toxic boss who constantly gaslights you. You tell them that I have this, but then they are like, oh, but there's other problems bigger. Somehow your problem is not important enough. So how do you deal with the toxic boss who does that, which is very common, more common than we can even imagine?
Right. So again, very, very tricky situation. Always be polite. Make sure that your tone is calm and composed,
Mhm.
right? So I would probably, so what is gaslighting really? Is just somebody who will manipulate you in such a way that you don't believe your own reality, right?
Yeah.
So all you can say is that I can see that your perspective is different, but you do have to realize that somewhere I am not imagining things,
Hmm.
right? Or you could just say something polite like, it sounds like you strongly believe that this is true, but my feelings or emotions are equally valid.
Mm.
So just deal with it in a polite kind of manner, because being your boss, you really can't overstep that line.
Yeah. And would you recommend saying it then or setting up a time to have that conversation?
I guess this is again very situational.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not something that I would be able to suggest to you. Also, it just depends on the situation and the moment. So if you feel that it is getting very heated, then
Yeah.
it's better to take a back seat, set up a separate time, and then speak about it separately.
Yeah, great advice. And I think now I'm thinking back to my corporate career. Where were you, Tina? What is going on? With that, dealing with
We're
all
all older and wiser, right, Savita?
yeah, but in hindsight, you have all these great things that you could have done.
Yes, comebacks, right?
I hate it. I have the best comebacks always after the fact. Um,
Most of us.
yeah. So dealing with online trolls, I think you have a larger following. So I'm sure you had opportunity to deal with this. What's your best advice to deal with them? Ignore, delete, block. Um,
All of the above.
okay.
So
Okay.
I personally feel that trolls are somebody who are basically cowards,
Hmm.
right? They do not have the guts to come up to you and probably say the same things to you when they meet you in person.
Yeah.
These are people who are just wanting your attention in some form or the other.
Yeah.
So my best advice to you would be to ignore, not engage,
Yeah.
don't block until unless absolutely necessary,
Yeah.
right? And I would not delete the comment as well. I would just respond to it in my own way.
Ah, okay. So I think that's an interesting advice, because a lot of people be like ignore and block, but what you're saying is unless absolutely it's not rude, completely
Yeah, you
abusive.
can, you can respond in some way. Unless some people get really down and dirty, then you can just ignore and avoid, don't engage.
Yeah.
So it's again depends.
I think one thing that I do is I try not to respond then and there, because it's like, you just
No,
want,
definitely.
yeah,
So see, when you do it then and there, it's like react.
yes,
So I choose to use the word respond because you always take a little moment.
yes.
You think about what you want to say, and then you kind of get back.
Yeah. And normally when you've taken some time, you may think you don't want to say anything. It's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fine.
They're entitled to their opinion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Though that was great. And with that, I want to ask you, we're bringing it back to you. What's the next 12 months looking like for you in your work and in your business?
Okay. So this might sound strange, but I'm not a person who makes very long-term plans. I
That's why I
tend
said
to
12 months. No, 12 months is too long. Okay.
I would probably go with like a 3 month.
Okay.
That works best with me.
Mhm.
Especially this is what the pandemic also has taught me. I made a lot of plans, but nothing went according to plan, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're all kind of dependent on nature and the course that it's taking. So I would say I would the plans that I have are very short lived.
Mhm.
I don't plan too far ahead of time, right? So I would probably want more of the same, which is finally doing more physical trainings. And that is exactly what I love. I don't like virtual trainings. I don't like engaging with people on online platforms too much.
Okay.
It's always nicer to meet people in person and to be able to gauge their body language and their reactions.
Yeah.
So that is my plan so far. I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I do want to ask you this because I think you create a lot of great content. Do you like, how do you create your content? Do you batch it? Do you plan it a little bit? Do you create it every day? What's your content strategy?
Again, it's very, very dependent on. So I try and make it about a week or 10 days ahead of time, Savita.
Mhm.
But there are times like now where I am doing trainings every day, full day trainings. So these are times when I cannot make more than 3 or 4 days ahead of time, right?
Mhm.
So again, it's all dependent. And I am somebody who goes with the flow, right? So I try and organize myself,
Mhm.
and I do have some kind of a strategy in mind, but it's all man proposes and God disposes.
But you do create a lot of great content. So I think, I mean, there's some method to
Yes,
it.
to the madness.
Yes, some method to the madness. But what does a day in your life look like when you're not doing trainings? Or even if you are, what does it look like when you
Okay.
start and how you end?
All right. So the day starts really early, say about 6:30,
Okay.
and the days that I am training, usually it's a full day training, and I'm back home by the evening, late evening. Then
Okay.
it's usually just time with the family, right? And planning the work for the next day, organizing your thoughts, organizing your whatever needs to be done for the next day.
Mhm.
The days that I'm really not training, which is not very often these days, again, it starts early. I try to spend the first initial hours of the day with my husband till he leaves the house, say about 8:30.
Okay.
And thereafter, it's planning content for my workshops, planning content for my Instagram, like you mentioned. Also, now that my son is going to leave, right, next year, hopefully,
Okay.
try to spend time with them because they are home virtually, maybe 3 times a week.
Okay.
Physical stool has started. So you do that, you run errands for the house, you do work for your shop. There are parents to look after.
Yeah.
So you know how we women are always trying to multitask and maintain that balance. So like everybody else, you're trying to do that.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your favorite fashion tip that you apply to yourself? Like your personal favorite fashion tip?
Personal favorite fashion tip. Okay. Um, I won't say it's for myself, but what I usually advise other women, and this is something that I was mentioning to the ladies who were asking me also today at work, is two things. First, figure out what is your body shape,
Mm,
right? And dress according to that. Because a lot of younger ladies nowadays tend to think that is all hogwash, dress
mm,
only according to trends,
yeah.
right? And then when they don't look half as graceful, they'll come back to you and ask you, what is it that you do right,
Mm,
right?
okay.
So, body shape one, figure that out and dress according to that. B, figure out what colors suit you.
Mm,
And once you tailor make your wardrobe according to your body shape and the colors that suit your complexion, I think you're sorted. The guesswork is out and you can't go wrong.
yeah. Okay. I like that. There are some colors that sometimes you like, but actually don't look great
Absolutely.
on you, which can be sad. But I find that sometimes people tend to dress in those colors and it's not really doing something for them. So I think that's a great tip. And finally, as we actually come to the end of the questions, I don't want to let you go. I do have a couple more. What's your advice to women in general who are trying to do it all, right? Work, have a home, have it all. Today, we all want to have our cake and eat it as well. What's your them, Tina?
uh, so I think that's great. If you can manage it, please do so, right? But at the same time, slow down,
Okay.
right? Slow down. Take time to smell the roses along the way because before you know it, life will have passed you by. Your
Yeah.
children will have grown up and you will probably not even have realized it,
Yeah.
right? And that's when you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
My second advice would be to all the ladies out there, please be financially independent
Mm,
because that is something I feel is critical. That
yeah.
is something that is going to allow you to be more independent.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to allow you to have the freedom that you need. That is going to allow you to take the decisions that you need to make in your daily life, right? Because most women don't even have that kind of independence or that freedom.
Yeah.
So I think financial independence and slowing down, if you already have it all, then you need to slow down a little bit.
Right. And Tina, what makes you confident? What's your favorite beauty tip? How do you look like this every day?
uh, it's very, very intentional, Savita. A lot of hard work goes into it.
Okay.
So if I have to reach my training in the morning at maybe 8, for instance, then I will wake up at 5:30
Mm-hmm.
and it'll take me at least an hour, hour and a half to get dressed,
Okay.
do my makeup. All right. I will decide my outfit the evening prior
Mm-hmm.
as to what I'm going to wear, my accessories, my clothes, all of that. So it's not accidental. Everything is intentional,
Mm,
right? Everything requires work.
yeah.
So even if I know that, I'm an image consultant and whatever I put together will still look all right, but I'm still going to take that extra effort and time and energy
Mm.
and make sure that it's better than what I imagined it would be at the last minute.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. I think that's something that I'm going to take away personally. My mantra is when in doubt, dress very formal. So that's my mantra
I
because,
agree. That's one of
yeah,
my hacks as well, right? It's better to be overdressed than underdressed, always.
yeah. You'll find me in the jacket and you'll find me, putting together all of that. With that, Tina, for people who'd like to work with you, people who'd like to connect with you, where's the best place to connect? I'm going to be dropping all the links with our episode as well. But
Sure.
how can people work with you?
So DM me on Instagram and please share my email. That's the best way to connect with me. Either.
Sure. Okay. And also, you're very active in your messages. So you respond to people on your Instagram.
Absolutely. Yes,
And
absolutely.
you're coming from a workshop today that you hosted for an airline, right? Indigo.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So, if you want all those great hacks that Tina is sharing, connect with her. And with that, we come to the end of the podcast session. Thank you so much for your time. I know you've had a long day. And
But it's always a pleasure to interact with you, Savita. So
you're-
believe me, this is something that I've been looking forward to as well.
Oh, you're very kind. You are the sweetest person I know. With that, thank you everyone for joining me and Tina today as well. And Tina, I will stay in touch. All the best. And I will be following your
Thank
work.
you.
And please keep posting all those gorgeous videos with your tips. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I need to try that too. So keep going. And
Thank you.
for everything today.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode and you want more, you can go to the show notes on my website, which is successwithsavita.com/podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, I would be grateful to you if you could leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to this podcast, and share with a friend who may find this useful. You can also follow me on my Instagram @successwithsavita and DM me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until the next episode, believe in yourself and all the best to your success.
इस हब हॉपर ओरिजिनल को सुनने के लिए आपका शुक्रिया। अगर आप भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं, तो हब हॉपर स्टूडियो वेबसाइट पे रजिस्टर करें और 1 मिनट के अंदर अंदर अपना खुद का पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करें। यही नहीं, स्टूडियो देता है आपको पूरी आजादी कहीं भी कभी भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करने की, सिर्फ 3 आसान स्टेप्स में। तो साथ में अपना पॉडकास्ट शुरू करने के लिए तैयार? जस्ट हॉप ऑन हब हॉपर, सिंपली कंटेंट।